welcome to the conversation about gut health. Thank you so much for being here with us. I am so excited about this one. I'm going to shortly introduce our guest speaker for the day. And I am, as I'm speaking, letting in a few more people. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Monica Woolridge. I studied nutrition at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition based in New York. And I'm on a mission. My mission is to help 1 million people in the next 5 years transform their health and their life through dietary and lifestyle changes. A lot of you know me. Some of you might not know me, but that is why we're here. And we've got a very, very special lady with us today who's going to share her knowledge with us about gut health. So before we get going, can I just ask again, if you don't mind, if you can keep your microphone on mute for the duration of the session. At the end of the session, you will get a chance to ask questions. You're also welcome to make note of the questions you have as we work through the session. And at the end, you're welcome to type it in the chat, or you are welcome to unmute yourself at the time at the end of the session and ask the question live. We are expecting to be busy for about an hour or so. Mandie is going to do a presentation, and then we are going to give you the opportunity to ask your questions. Okay, so let's introduce you to the lady of the day. So Mandie is one of my great friends. We don't know each other for that long. We've only known each other for about 2 years or so, but she's such an incredible and inspirational lady. And, you know, from the moment we met, we just hit it off, and we are so aligned in terms of what we do, what we believe, and we're both so extremely passionate about health. So I'm going to read you a little bit about Mandie. Mandie is also a qualified Integrative Nutrition Health Coach, and she specializes in gut health. She's also working on programs on hormone health and healing chronic disease through food. That is a big one, right? Let's just get one more lady in. She is a colon cancer survivor and has been successful at keeping her autoimmune disorder, Hashimoto's, in remission for 4 years. She has also been able to naturally heal from Helicobacter pylori. Not only does she have the qualification and the knowledge, but what makes Mandie special is she also has the practical experience of going through all of this herself. So it's such an incredible honor to have Mandie on. I'm going to hand it over to Mandie. She's going to do a presentation, share a screen with us. And today we're going to talk about gut health, the what, the why, and the how of gut health. You're going to walk away with practical steps that you can take to heal your gut, to get those guts healthy. Over to you, Mandie.
Can you all hear me now? Sorry, I muted myself. So firstly, I want to thank you, Monica, for allowing me the big honor to come and speak on your platform and to share my heart and my passion about gut health to everyone. So thank you so much for this. And as Monica said, we will do some Q&A at the end of the session. Bear with me. I've tried to compact as much of the information as possible into one presentation that will be, I hope, valuable to everyone. There is so much to learn about gut health that it is, yeah, like you would see in the presentations, it's my passion, it's my purpose. It's truly, it hit home on a very personal level to me, like Monica said. So understanding our inner ecosystem, how it works, why, and some practical ways of how to heal your gut. So I just want to firstly add that I'm also a mother of 3 boys. I'm married to a loving husband, and we stay in the beautiful winelands here in Cape Town. Just to know that when I speak about being busy and living it all, I speak from experience also, because yeah, for moms, we have our busy lifestyles, isn't it? So what is gut health? How your gut works, the systems, and what affects your gut is what I will present to you in the next couple of slides. So your gut is one of the most important organs in your body, and yet most of us know very little or don't know at all how your gut works. So let me take you on a 30-foot journey. Digestion is what keeps us alive. It gives energy. It provides raw materials for not only rebuilding, but also forming new cells and tissues within our body. The main goal of digestion is to break down fats, protein, carbohydrates into small building blocks. So it's actually absorbable to the body. This mainly happens in the small intestines. And then I want to ask you, did you know that your gut is technically outside your body? So when you look at, let me just move this, sorry, I'm just trying to set myself up here. So can you see that my cursor, if I'm moving my cursor, you can see this. All right. So if you look at the whole digestive system, it actually starts with the mouth and it ends with the anus. Now, this is pinched close, shutting the outside, the world outside out. But technically, it doesn't really seal shut completely. Meaning the world around us still have access to this tube. So I know this sounds crazy, but bear with me as I try and explain this in a way that you'll understand. So the gut side is out. The gut is outside our body for a good reason. Our world is filled with billions of bacteria. Now I know this sounds scary, but please don't let it scare you. It's very important to have these little guys around to sustain life on Earth. But however, your body is not equipped to allow just any bug into your bloodstream. This is why bacteria and food are kept outside the body, so it can first be broken down and screened by the immune system before getting access into the body via the bloodstream. So you see, your gut does so much more than just digest the food. It is actually a whole different world in there. So this all happens through the alimentary canal, which is your digestive tube that's running, like I said, from the mouth all the way to the anus. And this is the only organ and part of you that is exposed to the outside world. So it's very important to screen and filter whatever makes it inside to this tube. Digestion takes anything between 24 to 27 hours. This is the time for the entire digestive system and the process to take place. But then again, bioindividuality also applies to what affects this. And there's some other factors that's also that affects this digestion process, mainly food eaten and also the emotional state of being. Okay, so the next slide, I want to explain just a little bit and just quickly on the phases of digestion. So you've got the first phase is your cephalic phase, which happens in the mouth and the esophagus. This is the food part. Mostly carbohydrate digestion starts in this phase. Then you've got your gastric phase, which happens in the stomach, interestingly holding 2 to 4 liters of substance or liquid. This is where protein generally will start to digest. Then you've got the intestinal phase. Now this is your small and your large intestine being the colon. And this is where the completion of fat, protein, and carbohydrate digestion takes place. And the colon then extracts water and prepares any fibers and other wastes to leave the body. So it is not just the food that you eat that actually causes imbalances in the gut. Many other factors in our modern environment negatively impacts the gut, meaning drugs. So antibiotics don't know the difference between the good guys and the bad guys. And I know there's a place for antibiotics, but the overuse of antibiotics is very damaging to our systems, especially our ecosystem that resides within the gut. So using antibiotics too often, too frequently, and for minor illnesses or sicknesses is actually not beneficial. Then you have your toxins that we all, I think sure everybody knows about these already. It's your pesticides, your herbicides, and then other agricultural chemicals that is also mostly found in our food and also in our soil, because if that's where our food is grown. And then another thing is being overly hygienic. So we actually need bacteria on our hands. We need to, if you've got small kids, the best thing for them to do is go and play in the mud and make mud cakes. And yes, maybe if they ingest 1 or 2 of those mud cakes, that's also good for them, you know, because they get those beneficial good bacteria in as well. One of the things, unfortunately, during the lockdown and the COVID protocol, which is in place, and I respect that, is the use of antibacterial hand sanitizers. Now, what I try to explain to my clients is just good old soap and water will actually preserve some of those good bacteria, where the sanitizers usually actually just kills everything. Then you've got stress, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Stress actually can start in the gut as well, so that affects your gut as well. Then we've got pathogens like your bad bacteria, one of them being H. pylori, and then you've got organ malfunction like unbalances in the body, your thyroid versus your adrenal glands, or reproductive organs, or anything like that also has a direct impact on the gut. And then you've got your undigested food, which is leaky gut. So leaky gut we will go through in one of the slides coming, so we will discuss that a little bit more through there. So why is the gut health so important? So Hippocrates says all disease begins within the gut. So whether you're suffering from a chronic disease, whether you're battling allergies, or simply wanting more energy, getting acquainted with your digestive system is vital for your well-being and for your health. Then we've got nutrient absorption. So digestion and the food, it digests the food into nutrient particles. This is then absorbed into the bloodstream and into the lymphatic system. So an interesting side note here is that fat is not absorbed into the bloodstream. It is in fact taken straight to the lymphatic system. That is why it is also very important to make sure that the fats that you do consume is your healthy fats. Because that directly goes and it just sits in your lymphatic system, and it's then transported to the rest of the body, as well as the nutrients that's absorbed into the blood that will also then be transported to the rest of the body. So I've given here 2 graphs that I want to take your attention to. Don't worry about the deeper layers of the gut. We will just focus for today on the villi. These are these little guys that looks like tentacles. So the villi is actually the ones that is responsible for nutrient absorption into the gut. You get your villi, and then you get in between, which you can't really see on these images, but you get your microvilli as well. Now, these actually increase the surface area where digestion, absorption takes place. So if you can see here, absorption surface covers plus minus 250 square meters, which is roughly the size of a tennis court, which is pretty much, if you have to take all of your intestines and place them next to each other, it will cover this surface, which is pretty awesome. Then you've got something, I'm not sure if anyone has ever heard this term, the forgotten organ, which directly relates to the human microbiome. Now, this is where it's fascinating to me, and I'm very passionate about the human microbiome. It's something that has recently gotten a lot of attention under scientists, and there's still many studies that's being conducted, because we actually, our knowledge on the human microbiome is very limited to this stage, and yet at the same time they have found that there is so much that they already know about this to apply to the human physiology to say enough that this is vital for our whole being. So only 10% of our cells are actually human. The rest is microbes within our human microbiota. 100 trillion microbes that is living in your gut. That equivalents to 2.27 kilograms of gut bacteria that's living in you. Then it's also been suggested that humans are superorganisms, meaning we are dependent on other organisms to survive. That's why it's so important for us to have these little good guys in our systems. Then I want to just discuss quickly about the disease and wellness within the gut. So 74% of Americans suffer from GI discomfort. Now, studies show that this is 1 in every 5 South Africans that actually struggle with GI discomfort, which is it's quite a large number if you think of the population in its entirety. The microbiome becomes a mirror for your health. So I like to tell my clients in a phrase like, you always have that phrase, show me your friends and I'll show you who you'll become. Now, this is so true to your gut as well. So show me your gut and I'll show you your health, and vice versa. So the early signs of disease and imbalances can be traced back to gut dysbiosis, meaning there's an imbalance in your gut bacteria. And this usually ignites inflammation. Inflammation is just a process by which your body's white blood cells and the things they make protect you from infection, like the outside invaders such as bad bacteria and viruses. The gut is the largest immune organ. 70 to 80% of the immune system is in the gut, and it resides there. And the immune function is one of the gut's main jobs. The immune system triggers inflammation and also autoimmune reactions into response from what gets sent by signaling transmitters to the immune cells in the gut. And then immune cells then make more immune cells. So most likely, if you have an autoimmune disease and you have a gut imbalance, this is most likely where it all originates for you. Then my favorite one is when we talk about your gut being your second brain. So I want to ask you to take a minute and just think about a morning where you woke up and you had stomach cramps. Or you just had a gut that just wasn't feeling as it usually should. I mean, I can almost guarantee you that whole day you felt miserable, and it affected your mood, and it affected your the decisions you made, and just the way that you even reacted with the people around you. Now, this is why we call the gut the second brain. Gut inflammation can impact the brain. So inflammation can affect the neurodevelopment and also the neurodegeneration of the brain. IBS goes hand in hand with mood disorders. Example, your anxiety attacks and your depression. Stress can originate in the gut and as well in the mind. So it's not just in the mind. Then your brain, your brain being is the first brain, and then you've got your intestines, your gut, that is the second brain. So within your gut, there is more neurons than in the brain and spinal cord combined, which is it is, if you think about it, you would think that there's more neurons in your human brain, you know, the one that drives everything, but in fact it's the other way around. Interesting fact that I read the other day is that for every signal that is sent from the brain to the gut to tell the gut what to do, the gut sends 9 signals back to the brain for the brain to actually what that he needs to do. So it's very interesting. The same variety of neurotransmitters is in the gut as it is in the brain. It seems to have a mind of its own. I mean, sometimes you think, I am going to sit through this movie, not having to stand up, you know, but unfortunately something then happens and the brain or the gut just says, no, you're not going to watch through this movie. We are going to the bathroom now. Then seem to be equally as complicated and as smart as the brain. Neurons control mechanical and chemical digestion. And then it produces and it stores 95% of serotonin in the body, which is literally your happy and your feel-good hormone. So gut imbalance, take care of your gut and the rest of your body just becomes happy as well. Like the brain, the gut produces over 30 hormones, dopamine being one of them. So let me just take a quick sip of water. And then we come to the part where we just have a quick view of leaky gut. So leaky gut is a dysfunction in the gut lining itself. So those first set of pictures that I showed you of the layers of the gut, this is where we will focus more on those villi that I showed. So too much protein called zonulin is released. This loosens the tight junctions and the protein structures that seals up the cells. This then allows antigens, food particles, or any other substances to enter into the bloodstream. The liver has to work harder, meaning that the immune system kicks into overdrive. The immune system has less energy to attend to other needs. This can lead then to infections and other illnesses affecting your mood. It causes hormonal imbalance, etc. So, and damaged microvilli leads to poor nutrients absorption, which leads then to deficiencies. So I want you to just have a look. If you see those looking like small little trees on what I call its rolling hills, those are actually your villi. This will then be where the food and all the substances that you take into your colon will be residing in here, and this will be the bloodstream. Now, when you have a healthy gut, this is a picture of a healthy gut. Everything is nicely intact, it's healthy, and everything has its place. But when you start, whether it's stress or eating the wrong foods or whatever it might be that's your triggers that's affecting your gut, it will start to cause inflammation, which will then give you a picture like this. This is a picture of an unhealthy gut, meaning that those junctions, those tight junctions that's supposed to keep the whole process nicely tight and locked and making sure that only food that is properly digested is absorbed, these will then allow spaces to happen, and then all sorts of substances or undigested particles of food can then enter into the bloodstream. And then this triggers a whole different ball game within the body. And that's usually where your autoimmune disorders also then comes into. So the causes for leaky gut is diet, imbalanced microbiome, your gut bacteria being out of balance, meaning you've got more bad bacteria than good, and then modern lifestyle is some of the causes to a leaky gut. Whether you suffer from headaches, mood issues, weight gain, PMS, fatigue, back pain, frequent cold or flu episodes, hormone imbalances, they are all linked to an unhappy gut. What may seem harmless to you in the short term can have a profound effect to you and your health on the long-term basis. So eating that, maybe whether it's gluten that you're supposed to cut out and it seems fine for maybe a week or two, I promise you give it 2 months and you'll start to feel the effects of that. These undigested particles enter into the bloodstream and wreaks havoc, leading to inflammation and immune reactions on a chronic level. So how do we then heal our gut? So you've heard what the gut does, why it's important, some issues that's leading from an inflamed gut or gut dysbiosis. So what can we do now? I'm going to share some practical insights on the 5 R's to gut health. We've got, first of all, remove. Then you've got replace. Then you've got repair, reintroduce, and then rebalance. Is your tube of life unhealthy? Now, I want you to take just a seat back, just bear with me and trust your gut in this one and listen to what your body is actually saying to you as I read through this list. Are you experiencing any digestive issues like bloating, constipation, abdominal pain or discomfort? Do you feel that when you eat certain foods that there's a trigger, maybe food allergies, sensitivity, intolerances to gluten, lactose, any of those, peanuts, any nuts? Mood swings. Do you suffer from irritability or just general mood swings overall and on a daily basis? Then any skin problems like acne, breakouts, eczema, rash, anxiety, panic attacks, depression, autoimmune disorders or disease, poor memory, difficulty concentrating or perhaps staying focused, or just in general brain fog, forgetting phrases or your train of thought, diabetes or other blood sugar related issues, frequent infections or illnesses. So if any of these that I've just read, if you've said yes to one or more of them, then most likely there is an imbalance in your gut, and I would like you to then pay attention and get reacquainted with your gut. Remember, if your gut suffers, then so does everything else. Now, at this point, I just want to make a quick disclaimer that I am a qualified integrative nutrition health coach. So I'm not a medical doctor. So if any of these symptoms, even after taking healthier choices or healthier steps to try and balance this out and heal from this, if there's any of these symptoms that still persist on a daily basis, then I would recommend that you please seek some medical help, whether it's just a GP that can refer you to a gastroenterologist or any other specialist. Please don't ignore these symptoms. If you know that you've tried everything and anything, do seek some medical help. Okay, and then some practical ways to heal the gut. So we've got eliminate inflammatory food, which is your sugary food, your junk food, your highly processed foods, your deep fried foods, soft drinks, fizzy drinks, sugary drinks, any one of those. Then increase your fiber intake with whole foods. Now, meaning plant-based or predominantly plant-heavy meals. Lean proteins, things like that is nourishing. We need to eat more vegetables and fruits. Feast on fermented foods. Now, this is my favorite, and I have to say, when my boys first saw how I make kombucha, because I make most of my fermented foods I make at home. My boys as well now do the same. We've eliminated sodas from our house by just implementing kombucha. Kombucha is also a nice fermented fizzy iced tea, if you could call it that. So these are rich. These are all kimchi. You've got your sauerkraut. You've got if you have homemade pickled foods, fermented soya, kefir is another one. These are all foods that is rich in naturally good bacteria that you can easily, and it's so cheap actually to make it at home. So I would recommend you start introducing that into your diet. And then the state of mind that you are in when you eat. So eat calmly, process what is actually in front of you. Take a minute just to sit down and let your body come into a state of, I'm going to enjoy this meal now. I'm going to connect with your food. Look at your food and say, this is what's going to nourish every little cell of me. This is going to give me life again. So take a minute just to close your eyes and smell the food that's in front of you. So, and then also eat slowly, chew your food properly. These are all things that actually helps your digestion, because remember, digestion starts within the mouth. It starts when you smell your food and your salivary glands activate. That is the first sign of digestion. So it's very important to eat and consume your meals in this state. On the run, standing, multitasking, this unfortunately is not very healthy for the gut. Then again, the antibiotics, only when really needed. Taking a cold shower. Now, this is something you would think, how on earth is this going to affect my gut? But I want to say, if we are in a stressful mindset, being your fight and flight mode, then your gut takes strain as well on digestion, because to digest your food, it's hard work for the gut. So taking that energy away from it, because you need to now constantly feel like I'm running away from a lion or I'm in this stressful environment, it puts strain on the gut. So by taking a cold shower, and I love to do this, even in the winter, I take a cold shower. The last 30 seconds of my shower is usually ice cold water. It not only wakes me up, it's not only good for my brain, but it puts me in a parasympathetic nervous system. It's just activated, which puts me to a rest and restore mode. And this is actually it's a needed state to be in to digest your food. Then drinking plenty of water is the next one. Your colon actually needs water, although it's there to remove water before it eliminates, but it also needs water to do this function. So drinking plenty of water is much needed. I would also recommend drinking a good source and quality source of water. Then avoiding all chemical nasties. Now, this can be whether it is your cleaning products in the household, or it is your beauty products, or just your general hygienic products. There's actually a lot of chemicals that lurks into these substances or these products that we use. And this can get into your bloodstream, and it can get into your guts and affect this as well. The next one is also one of my favorite ones, is to get moving. Movement is absolutely, we were created to move. So whether it's just a walk, if you don't have to be into weightlifting, you don't have to be into spinning, whatever gets you moving is very healing to the gut. Our colon literally has a function where it does peristalsis. Now, peristalsis is where it retracts and it releases all the time, whether you're sleeping, whether you're running away from a lion, whether you're exercising, whether you're just resting. It's constantly in this mechanism, and it's operating in this way. So, but moving and exercising is actually needed for your colon to move this whole process along and eliminating the waste as it is needed. Then the last point would be just to rest at some point. You know, sit back, read a book, watch a movie, be in a state of just complete relaxation. Give your gut as well time to rest. This is something that I usually recommend people, is to just sometimes also take a break from consuming foods. We've become a society where we consume a lot of food and we overconsume food. And sometimes we just need to give our guts a break. Just continue to increase your liquids and consume liquids. But it's actually good to just not consume food, whether it's just maybe for a day that you go on a fast, or you implement intermittent fasting, whatever you prefer, whatever your doctor would also recommend is safe for you to do, depending on certain conditions that you're under. That is something that I usually do as well, just to give a bit of a detox as well there. Then the last one we've got here is some supplements to aid gut healing. My favorite is probiotic. A probiotic, unfortunately, is a must in our society, in our lifestyles today, just basically because our soil is depleted of good bacteria, which then in turn needs to be on our food, and in turn needs to be digested by us so it can go and equalize this in our colon. So good quality probiotic is much needed for that. Then you've got bone broth. I love to make bone broth. We have bone broth in our fridge. It's a substance in our house. So bone broth is a good form of getting those amino acids and also your collagen from that. Then you've got omega-3. That is also one of my top supplements that I recommend all my clients use. It's a good source of omega-3. Collagen is another one. You get collagen either from your bone broth, or you can get it in a powder form. L-glutamine is an amino acid. It's also a powder form. You can get it in a capsule form. It's also something that will aid in your gut lining, especially if you've got leaky gut. I would recommend getting a good source of L-glutamine. Licorice root is a source of, it's actually an adaptogenic herb. I think I pronounced that wrong. But it is something that also just helps relax the digestive system. It helps with stress. And it is also gut healing. Then you've got your digestive enzymes, which is just good, and it aids just digestion. And then eating cold potatoes. Now, I know many people would think, what on earth? But eating cold potatoes, eating sweet potatoes, and bananas is also another source. It is actually a resistant starch. So a resistant starch, it says it all in the word, it resists digestion, which says it goes through the small intestines and it ends up straight into the large intestines, which is your colon, where it actually then becomes probiotic, and it is food for your gut bacteria. Because unlike our digestive systems, we actually don't break down our food. Our gut bacteria does it. They are these little factory guys that come in, and we consume the food and we hand it all over to them. And we say, please digest our food. They break it down. They give it back to the body, and then the body distribute it among the organs or the functions that they needs that absorption. So by eating resistant starch foods will actually then help feed them as well. Leafy greens is also another way. So eating a lot of plants and fruits and vegetables is a way that you can also increase this fiber that the body needs, and it all acts as prebiotics for your probiotics and your good bacteria. And then lastly, some takeaways that we have from today. There's over 170 diseases that have been linked to gut health. The gut is the largest endocrine organ, secreting over 30 hormones. It has a brain of its own and functions independently. The gut is also known as the second brain, like we've learned. And then studies have shown that our gut directly influences our mood, our behavior, and your decisions. So this is where you can actually go back and you can blame that bad decision on maybe the little guys inside. The healthier your gut, the more in sync you are with literally your gut feelings, your instinct. Because there's constant communication happening as well between the gut and your organs or your digestive system or the brain. So that is where that comes from. And then the gut communicates with your entire body. There you go. And also communicates back to the other organs. So it's a constant communication that happens. So the father of probiotics and the founder of probiotics, Eli Mikchenkov, says the majority of diseases begin in the gut, in the digestive tract, when good bacteria are no more able to control bad bacteria. So I hope that everybody understands why it's so important for you to have a gut that is balanced and why it's important to have the good guys outnumber the bad guys. Yeah. And that is that. So thank you so much for listening today. And I hope it was helpful.
Thank you so much, Mandie. I mean, it is incredible, right? There's so much information, so much knowledge, and I think it's been extremely helpful for so many people. And there's so many things I want to chat to you about.
Go. Let's talk about
it. I've made a little list, but what I want to ask those of you who are on the Zoom call, please feel free to ask questions. If you don't want to chat or unmute yourself, you're welcome to type any questions you might have in the chat box. I'm going to give you some time, or you can put up your hand or just in the chat box, let me know if you want to ask a question and we will address those questions. Mandie, while we wait for people to ask questions, what I want to ask is, okay, we know step one, we know there's issues with our gut, you know, whether we have constipation, diarrhea, feeling bloated, eczema, allergies, hormone imbalances, all those types of things. Step one, we know. Then we change our diet. We start eating real unprocessed food that's good for our gut. And we start taking those supplements. How do you know that your gut is healed? How do you know that you're fine? And then also, once you know your gut's been healed, do you stop taking those supplements or doing those things? What do you do then?
Okay, so that's actually a very good question. So thank you for bringing that up. So literally what happens when your gut is restored, you reverse all disease. Say, for instance, you struggle with cognitive issues. You would just start experiencing that your brain fog lift. You get more clarity of thought. You make decisions easier. You have more control over your emotions and your mood. Things will just start to reverse itself. And your energy levels will be abundant. Your sleep will improve. There's so many things that happens when your gut lining is actually healing, and when your gut is restored. You literally have that feeling of you are so at ease. You literally feel that balance within your body. So what I would recommend is to work with somebody that knows how to do gut healing. To also, sorry, let me just move this. To also know that how to implement the right supplements at which point. I would definitely say that one of the things that I would recommend to always stay on is your probiotic and your omega, and then obviously your collagen, because those are amino acids that we don't easily get into our diet these days. Your L-glutamine is something that you might most likely just use for a month, 2, 3, depending on it all. It's all depending on how you heal. It's very by the individual to your journey, and it also goes back to at what phase of gut dysbiosis you start with. So whether it's something that's relatively new or whether it's something you've been struggling with 2, 3 years, it depends on how deep the damage is and how much restoration there is to go. Yeah. So, but working with somebody that knows is, I would definitely recommend that.
Tina is asking for your bone broth recipe. I'm sure you wouldn't mind sharing it later on. We can maybe share it on the Facebook group. We can send out an email. We can do
absolutely.
Actually, what we can do is we can share it in the discussion to this event. So everyone on Facebook, if you did say you're attending this event, we can share it with you guys if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to share that. It's something that is very comforting. It's I recommend everybody have a big jug of bone broth in their fridge.
And then another one that we're getting from Bridget is your kombucha as well.
Oh, kombucha. Oh, I would definitely, yes. I make mine a bit different. So we usually kombuchas are made with green tea and your normal black tea. I make mine with rooibos. So it's very South African as well.
Yeah. I mean, kombucha is a bit of a process to make. You need to have a little factory going there at the back of your kitchen. It's worth it. And I mean, I think kombucha, when you go out to a health shop and you buy kombucha, it's so expensive, right? But it's actually quite affordable and cheap to make your own. It just takes a little bit of effort.
Absolutely.
Mandie, the other one that I want to talk about is, if you look at the 5 R's of healing the gut, I want to just highlight the rebalance phase, because we've spoken so much about food, what you should and what you shouldn't, and supplements, what you should and what you shouldn't. But in terms of rebalance, and I talk about it a lot in my Art of Undieting program, a lot of people will know about that, is the importance of primary foods. Those things that is a form of nourishment for your body, but that's not related to food. It's those things that cause stress. And you briefly mentioned the impact that stress has on your body, but it's so critical. And people don't often take it serious that, yes, it's important to eat healthy food. Yes, it's important to take all those supplements and do the right thing. But if you don't pay attention to those things that cause stress in your life, your gut will not heal.
No, absolutely. And that's a very valid point. So to rebalance and to make sure, but again, going back to what works for you, knowing your body. I always say that the best doctor is the you doctor. You know yourself better than anyone else. So go back to what you know works for you. And that would be, whether you know that you are automatically a person that is very stressful, then I would say implement some things, meditate, going for gentle exercise, stretching, things that you know would help you to bring your body back into balance. Because remember, the body always wants to bring itself into balance. And given half a chance, the body will heal, but you just need to give it the right tools to heal. So I would definitely say, a good point to start with as well, when you go into rebalances, I like to write things down. I'm just that type. It's my personality. I like to have my little list where I compare, and where I keep a log of what is actually working for me, what is not working for me, so that you can start weighing that up to see where am I still out of balance, and then to reintroduce some more things, or to replace some things. Overcrowding, maybe some activities that's stressful, or it might be relationships. There's so many aspects that can go with that.
Yes, absolutely. I think both of us can really emphasize that on our own personal experiences. And we both have our health issues, and the impact that stress has on your health is incredible.
Absolutely.
Absolutely incredible, and so often underrated. There is a question coming through about a lady whose 5-year-old was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. So once again, I just also want to clarify before we get into that, is both Mandie and myself, we're not medical doctors, so we can't really give you advice in terms of what exactly can do. We can simply share our knowledge and our experience with you. But what the lady is saying, it's obviously been a long process to heal the gut. The child eats gluten-free and dairy-free, takes probiotics, omega-3 and collagen every day, very rarely eats sugar, but is always sick. Anytime she eats junk food or sugar, I can be sure that the snotty nose will start soon, and then it lasts for weeks and ends up in antibiotics. What am I missing in terms of gut health? Mandie, I also would like to add to that, but is there anything you would maybe add or respond?
I'm definitely, my first question would, what I would ask is, what are you putting in terms of bacteria, in terms of a good quality probiotic? That is always my first line of defense. Are you helping those good guys that's actually trying to fight the fight? Because what many people don't know is even the bacteria within your gut determines whether you're even going to use and absorb and break down the medicines. Say, for instance, you are on chronic medication, but you don't have an adequate gut to digest those medicines. Most likely those medicines are just going to pass through and you're not even going to absorb those, and it's not going to help you. So I would say maybe look at the type of probiotic that they are on, because at age of 5 years, to go back to what is the root cause, why something at that age would trigger such a immune reaction, and then I would go definitely to your primary foods, to see what else is missing that's not consumed within the body, that's not found either in a supplement or capsule form or on the plate.
Yeah. Absolutely, I agree with you. I think another thing that you can perhaps look at, I don't know what it's like at the moment, is but what you use for body cream, what you use for toothpaste, what you use for shampoo, for soaps, those types of things, because a lot of the time conventional stuff that you just buy at the pharmacy, at Clicks, at Dis-Chem, at Pick and Pay, contains all sorts of harsh chemicals and toxins in it. So that is something else you can look at. I also know that often toxins that we surrounded with trigger symptoms when it comes to autoimmune diseases. Things like a lot of people perhaps react to toxic mold in your house or stuff like that. So it's all about the environment, what you put in your body, what you put on your body, and the environment you're surrounded with. So that could also perhaps be something to look at. What I can also personally recommend is, I don't know what doctors you've been to, what specialists. I know it's a very, very long journey, but it's always a good idea to approach a functional medicine type of doctor. The difference between a conventional doctor and a functional medicine doctor is a conventional doctor would typically identify the symptom and treat the symptoms, where if you talk to someone that's a functional medicine doctor, more the natural type of route, they see the body as a whole and they try to identify the cause, what is causing your immune response, and then try to address the cause, opposed to just simply treating the symptoms. So, we don't know much about you, but that's possibly what you can look at doing. Anything else you want to add, Mandie?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. It's just, what I would also say is, when I started my journey with Hashimoto's, it was absolutely crucial for me to find a team that wanted to work with me. And not just, I was always the one that I was asking a lot of questions to the doctor. I was giving a lot of input as well, because you need to be a team with your doctor so that you can find those root causes. So I would definitely say to find somebody that's willing to listen, and to listen to the journey that you've been on, because I can imagine it's very frustrating, and it can sometimes be very, emotional as well. So just to maybe go back and again draw up what you've done and start looking at the bigger picture and see, where am I missing something? Because it might be something small. Just to share from my personal experience, it was about 2 years where I was struggling profusely with my Hashimoto's before I eventually found the triggers. And I eventually went on an elimination diet. I started eating everything organic. I cut out gluten. I cut out everything that I thought possible. But, and then the one day I recognized that it was actually peanuts that was my trigger. Peanuts and eggplant, strangely enough. And since then started cutting those out, and it's been in remission ever since. So it was still a long time for me to find that little, it was one peanut I wasn't eating peanuts for quite some time. And then the one day I literally had one. And the next day I had inflammation in my joints, and I knew that it was just, and since then so it was, it's sometimes it makes sense to go back, make a plan, draw it all up, say, this is what I've been doing, this is what I still can do and implement, and then just work from there, trial and error.
Yeah. Absolutely. And also specifically with autoimmune disease, it's not necessarily gluten. Gluten is a big troublemaker, but dairy can also be a big troublemaker. And even like Mandie mentioned, the eggplant nightshades, it can be a very big troublemaker. So you almost want to, I know the child's only 5 years old, but you want to go almost through like a type of elimination diet where you remove anything that can potentially cause a flare-up. And then after a while, bring it back to see if she reacts any different to it. That is probably best bet, because with Hashimoto's, it's a thyroid, right? Or autoimmune disease with thyroid. And an autoimmune disease is not necessarily a disease of the thyroid. It's a disease of the immune system. Your immune system is basically attacking its own body, and it is manifesting in the thyroid. Now, the interesting thing with the thyroid and gluten is the molecular structure of gluten and the thyroid is similar. So if you eat gluten products, your body identifies gluten as a foreign invader and launches an attack, the same thing can happen with the thyroid. And to make matters worse with gluten, gluten also triggers the release of zonulin. Mandie briefly mentioned that zonulin basically is a protein that those villi that she was talking about, if zonulin is released, it basically opens up the villi or those tight junction, allowing all those toxins, undigested food and stuff to go through. So it's a very good thing that she's not having any gluten. We talk about it a lot. Not all supplements are the same. And I think you also mentioned it in terms specifically probiotics, how important it is. And even if you don't have a leaky gut, even if you're healthy, I think a good quality probiotic should always be almost a daily supplement, something that you take with your multinutrient, probiotic, omega-3, irrespective of whether you're healthy or not healthy. What's your view on that?
Absolutely. I always advocate my clients, and I say there is 2 nutrients that I want you to have as a staple in your monthly order, wherever it is that you buy your supplements from, and that is a good quality probiotic and a good quality omega-3. My view is when your gut is healed and you know that you are eating a healthy, balanced, whole foods diet, that you will most likely get all your nutrients. So you won't need a multivitamin as much. Maybe here and there you can just fill up depending on the seasons that we are in. But if you have a probiotic and you've got an omega-3 and you eat healthily, that is all that you would need if your gut is healthy, because then you're absorbing all the nutrients that you need from your food, which is the way we were designed to take it. And also just mentioning there as well, make sure that you eat a variety of these foods. Vibrant color, deep colored foods, that's where all your antioxidants lie in, and your healthy proteins, where your amino acids are. So I would definitely say not all, unfortunately, because the supplement industry is not regulated. So it's important to look at things where there's third party testing happening, and where they really go out because they want to give a good quality brand and product for their clients. So I would definitely, it's a must.
Yeah, so agree. So both Mandie and I are actually, we've discovered recently a very good probiotic. And people who know me know that, if you have tummy ache, I say take some Riser Health. If you have a headache, I say take some Riser Health. It's an absolutely incredible product, because not all probiotics are the same. And the Riser Health specifically made such a big difference in my life personally and in Mandie's life. So it's definitely something to consider. What I've done also in terms of omega-3s, I quickly want to add to omega-3s. What is also important, once again, not all supplements are the same or the same quality, and it's also a lot of times you would get a cheap is omega-3, but it contains heavy metals. You don't know where they fish, so it's also always important to try and find something that is tested for those toxic heavy metals. So yeah, Mandie, in terms of the rhizo health, how did it affect your life?
So what happened is during lockdown, obviously, you know, we were kind of herded into buying not so much fresh produce because you weren't allowed to go to the store. So during that time, there was things in my cupboard lying around which I shouldn't have eaten. So throughout that, slowly but surely, I started bringing back things into my diet, which it was still healthy. I was still eating an 80% healthy diet, but there was those one or two ingredients that was just making its way onto my plate that shouldn't have. So I started experiencing towards the beginning of this year, and then obviously with all that stress that we had to go through last year and the uncertainty, you know, again, those primary foods really started impacting my life, you know, and it started impacting my gut. So I started developing very little bit IBS symptoms, and I've literally, and this is why I love rhizo and why I would only affiliate myself with rhizo, is I have literally, because gut health is what I do, it's what I specialize in. So I make sure that I try and test the brands that is on the market before I even recommend it for my clients. So I've literally tested from the cheapest product till the most expensive product, and for, you know, for their own discretion, I won't name the names of those brands, but I didn't feel any effects of it. And then I was approached and I was given a bottle of rhizo and I just started using it. So at that point, something that I've also failed to mention in the intro is that due to my colon cancer, I suffer from what's called induced menopause. I never had chemo or radiation or any of those, but just because of the type of surgery that I had to undergo, it immediately activated hormone imbalances in my body. So I started using the rhizo just for the gut benefit of it. And I never in a million years thought that it would actually start balancing my hormones again. And that was the first sign. I had to go to, immediately, it wasn't even 2 days, and all the pain was gone. I felt that my digestion was slowly going back into balance again. But it was about 10 days after when I had to go for my blood test again. And my doctor called me that Friday saying, "What on earth are you doing?" Because for the first time, we are actually able to give you estrogen levels, which we weren't for the last two years. They were just, it was depleted. So, and then I knew it was the rhizo. That is just, you know, once your gut is in balance, it brings balance to the whole body. So that was literally, and I give it to my kids. We all use it. I make a mask out of it. I've got my middle son, he's now in high school, so he's going through that period of the puberty, which is not always so easy on your skin. So I make a mask of it, I put it on, and it literally helps calm his skin down. So there's so many applications to it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm personally also a big fan of rhizo. So
Yeah.
if any of you are keen to learn more about rhizo, you can get in touch with me. I found a omega-3 that is really affordable and that is tested for heavy metals, both in Scandinavia, where they source it from, and also once again in South Africa. And the combination of a really good probiotic plus a proper, clean, affordable omega-3 is a winning combination. And then of course your collagens and those types of things. So if you are keen to learn more about those products, you're welcome to get in touch with me. Okay, so everyone, I think that's it. We are just over an hour. If there's no other questions, I want to end the session. But Mandie, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I think we all learned a lot from you. I mean, your knowledge and your passion is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for making the time and taking us through this journey. This, what do you call it, the 30-foot or 40-foot journey?
30-foot journey. It's quite a long journey, but it's well worth it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And guys, also, I know Mandie's also working on a program specifically on gut health. So it's not available yet, but it's a work in progress. So we will also give you a bit more information once that is available. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. If you have any questions, if you go to bed tonight or tomorrow, you think of any questions, you have any questions for myself or for Mandie, please, please, please feel free to ask. Send a message, post on Facebook, whichever way you can get hold of either Mandie or myself, you are welcome to ask any questions. Thank you so much for being here, everyone.